Hello everyone, I am Dr. Urja Ranjan Sinha, Assistant Professor of English, D.P. Wipro College, Bilaspur. Today I am going to deal with Oliver Henry's short story, The Last Leaf. Before I start this story, I would like to give you a brief description about the author, Oliver Henry. Oliver Henry is actually the pseudonym of William Sidney Porter. He was an American short story writer born on 11th September 1862 and died on 5th June 1910. His short stories are well known for his witty narration, warm characterization, wordplay, and surprise endings. Now let us move to the story The Last Leaf. Here we have four living characters: Sue, Johnsy, Doctor, and Berman, and one non-living character, Mr. Pneumonia. The title of the story itself conveys the theme of the story. Last means very close to death. In this manner, the basic theme of the story becomes death. But on the contrary, the significance of leaf is life and nurture. It is the symbol of hope. So in this manner, one of the themes of Last Leaf is also hope. Now let us start the story. Here in the story, Johnsy suffers from pneumonia and she has little chances to survive. She believes that when the ivy vine outside the window on the wall loses all its leaves, she will also die with the last fall of the leaf. However, there is no logic behind such a belief. She seems to be pessimistic due to her disease and she waits for her death. However, the constant positive counseling and care of Sue and the painting of Berman aroused hope and will to survive in Johnsy. To see how this magic happened, let us move to the story or the text of the story. But here in the text, I am not going to deal each line, only the important portions that gives you an idea about the story. The Last Leaf. In a little district west of Washington Square, the streets have run crazy and broken themselves into small strips called places. These places make strange angles and curves. So, to quaint old Greenwich Village, the art people soon came prowling, hunting for north windows and 18th century gables and Dutch attics and low rents. The story takes place in Greenwich Village, and the narrator remarks that the curved streets, is the best place for these artists. At the top of a squatty, three-story brick, Sue and Johnsy had their studio. Johnsy was familiar for Joanna. One was from Maine and the other from California. Here the two main characters are introduced to you, Sue and Johnsy. Both of them, they were artists. They had met at the table d'hote of the 8th Street Delmonico's and found their tastes in art, chicory salad, and bishop sleeves so congenial that the joint studio resulted. So these two young women artists, they had same tastes for art, food, and clothes. So they decided to live and work together. That was in May. In November, a cold, unseen stranger, whom the doctors called pneumonia. Now here, pneumonia is being treated as a stranger. It's a personification. We all know when an abstract notion is spoken of as having life, that is a personification. So here, pneumonia has been treated as a stranger. Stalked about the colony, touching one here and there with his icy fingers. Over on the east side, this ravager strode boldly, smiting his victims by scores, but his feet trod slowly through the maze of the narrow and moss-grown places. As pneumonia is been treated as a stranger, so it has fingers also, it has feet also. Johnsy he smote, and she lay scarcely moving on her painted iron bedstead, looking through the small Dutch window panes at the blank side of the next brick house. Johnsy gets affected of pneumonia, and she lay on her bed, looking through the window at the wall of the house next to hers constantly. One morning, the busy doctor invited Sue into the hallway with a shaggy grey eyebrow. She has one chance in, let us say, 10, he said. Doctor came to treat Johnsy, and the doctor told Sue that she has little chances to survive as her condition is quite critical. Shook down the mercury in his clinical thermometer, and that chance is for her to want to survive. Doctor tells Sue that she has little chances to survive. Medicine can also have no effect on her until she has the will to survive. Your little lady has made up her mind that she is not going to get well. That is what to that is what the doctor tells to Sue. After the doctor had gone, Sue went into the workroom. As Sue was sketching, she heard a low sound several times repeated. She went quickly on the bedside. Sue was hearing some voice, so she went to Johnsy. Johnsy's eyes were wide open. She was looking out the window and counting backward. 12, she said, and a little later, 11, and then 10, and 9, and then 8, and 7, almost together. She looked solicitously out of the window. What was there to count? There was only a bare, dreary yard to be seen, and the blank side of the brick house. 20 feet away, an old ivy vine, gnarled and decayed at the roots, climbed halfway up the brick wall. The cold breath of autumn had stricken its leaves from the vine until the skeleton branches clung almost bare to the climbing bricks. So there was an ivy vine on the wall outside the window. It was shedding its leaves one by one, and Johnsy was counting those leaves one by one. What is it, dear? Asked Sue. 6, said Johnsy in almost a whisper. They are falling faster now. 3 days ago there were almost 100. It made my headache to count them, but now it's easy. There goes another one. There are only 5 left now. So she was counting the leaves actually. 5, what dear? Tell your Sudie. Leaves on the ivy vine. When the last one falls, I must go. I have known that for 3 days. Didn't the doctor tell you? Now here, Johnsy asserts that with the fall of the last leaf, she is also going to die. Oh, I never heard of such nonsense, complained Sue. With magnificent scorn, what have old ivy leaves to do with your getting well? And you used to love that wine so? You naughty girl, don't be a goosey. Why, the doctor told me this morning that your chances for getting well real soon were. Let us see exactly what he said. He said the chances were 10 to 1. This girl, Sue, she reversed the statement to what the doctor told her. She said that the chances were 10 to 1, means you can easily recover. To make Sue cheer up, she said so. That leaves just 4. I want to see the last one fall before it gets dark. Then I'll go too, says the Johnsy. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of thinking. I want to turn loose my hold on everything and go sailing down, down, just like one of those poor tired leaves, says Chauncey. These lines actually show the depression of Chauncey, that she is not willing to survive. She doesn't want to live further. Try to sleep, said Sue. I must call Baman up to be my model for the old hermit miner. I'll not be gone a minute. Don't try to move till I come back. Old Baman, this is the third character introduced to you here. Old Baman was a painter who lived in a ground floor beneath them. He was past 60. He is an old man. He had been always about to paint a masterpiece but had never yet begun. Sue told him Johnsey's fancy and how she feared she would indeed light and fragile as a leaf herself float away when her slight hold upon the world grew weaker. So Sue told everything to Baman about Johnsey. Johnsey was sleeping when they went upstairs. Both of them, they went upstairs to see how is Johnsey. Sue pulled the shade down to the window sill and motioned Berman into the other room. In there, they peered out the window fearfully at the ivy vine. Both of them, they looked at the ivy vine. Then they looked at each other for a moment without speaking. What they saw there on the wall, it's not clear here also. A persistent cold rain was falling, mingled with snow. There was a storm outside. Berman, in his old blue shirt, took his seat as the hermit miner on an upturned kettle for a rock. Berman sat there on a rock to get himself paint for the painting which Sue wanted to paint. When Sue awoke from an hour's sleep the next morning, she found Johnsey very dull, wide open eyes staring at the drawn green shade. Pull it up, I want to see, she ordered in a whisper. As she is so weak, she can't get up herself. So she calls Sue that she wants to see the leaf. Really, Sue obeyed. But lo, after the beating rain and fierce gusts of wind that had endured through the livelong night, there yet stood out against the brick wall one ivy leaf. That one leaf could be seen on the wall with the ivy vine, and Johnsey felt happy to see that leaf, that particular leaf, even after the stormy night. It is the last one, said Johnsey. I thought it would surely fall during the night. I heard the wind. It will fall today, and I shall die at the same time. Johnsey tells Sue that though I was saved for just one more day, even after the stormy night, but today I am not going to be saved. Why? Because again the weather is not that good, and she had heard the wind, and with the fall of the last leaf, she will die. Dear, dear, said Sue, leaning her worn face down to the pillow. Think of me if you won't think of yourself. What would I do? Sue gets sad when Johnsey said so. She had been a sincere friend of Johnsey throughout because she had helped and supported her physically, mentally, and financially. Johnsey, whenever she had needed Sue was always there for her. And she has always tried to pull Johnsey out of depression. The day wore away, and even through the twilight they could see the lone ivy leaf clinging to its stem against the wall. And then, with the coming of the night, the north wind was again loosed, while the rain still beat against the windows and pattered down from the low Dutch eaves. When it was the light enough, Johnsy the merciless commanded that the shade be raised. Again, Johnsy wants to see the leaf, whether the leaf is there on the wall or not. The next morning, the ivy leaf was still there. She was surprised to see that ivy leaf was still there on the wall. Johnsy lay for a long time looking at it, and then she called Sue, who was stirring her chicken broth over the gas stove. "I have been a bad girl, Sudie," said Johnsy. "Something has made that last leaf stay there to show me how wicked I was. It is a sin to want to die." Now here we can see that Johnsey's mood has changed a little bit, and there is a change in the attitude towards her life. She realizes that it is a sin to want to die. "You may bring me a little broth now and some milk with a little port in it, and no, bring me a hand mirror first, and then pack some pillows about me, and I'll sit up and watch you cook." So she starts again with the will to survive. An hour later she said, "Sudie, someday I hope to paint the Bay of Naples." As we can see that there is a change in the attitude of Johnsy. So she hopes because she wants to survive. This way the painting she had wanted to paint for long. The next day the doctor said to Sue, "She is out of danger. You won. Nutrition and care now, that is all." And that afternoon Sue came to the bed where Johnsy lay. Doctor came there to see Johnsy, and he told Sue that Johnsy is out of danger now. "I have something to tell you," says Sue to Johnsy. "White Mouse," she said, "Mr. Barman died of pneumonia today in the hospital. He was ill only 2 days. The janitor found him the morning at the first day in his room downstairs, helpless with pain. His shoes and clothing were wet through an icy cold. They couldn't imagine where he had been on such a dreadful night. And then they found a lantern, still lighted, and ladder that had been dragged from its place, and some scattered brushes, and a palette with green and yellow colors mixed on it. And look out the window, dear, at the last ivy leaf on the wall. Didn't you wonder why it never fluttered or moved when the wind blew? Ah, darling, it's Berman's masterpiece. He painted it there the night that last leaf fell." So Berman, where was he? He stayed all night outside, painting the image of a leaf into the wall, so that Johnsy would think that the last leaf had survived the storm. And this painting was the masterpiece of Berman. He has selflessly sacrificed his life for a particular purpose, so that Johnsy may not die of pessimism and disbelief. So this was the story of Last Leaf. I hope you have enjoyed this story. Thank you very much. Goodbye and stay safe.